Hi, my name is Almond Zigmund.
And my name is Ruth.
And today we are going to make collage. Collage is a technique wherein you take anything you have around you, cereal boxes, magazines, cardboard, colored tape,
Peppers.
dried hot peppers, and you put it together in a way that is fun for you. Collage, you kind of create a collage on a piece of paper. You take a piece of drawing paper and you kind of create a sort of drawing on top of it using all of the things that I just mentioned, cutting things out. And I'm sure many of you have done that before. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to create a collage that's a sort of freestanding thing, that it's its own drawing. It's not attached to another piece of paper. And it's maybe something, there's some relationship to something called assemblage, which is sort of like a collage sculpture, right? Jinx. So the reason I wanted to do this is because I wanted you guys to be able to sort of just do anything. So not to limit yourself to that one piece of paper, but to kind of get as big as you want or as small as you want and
work with the things that you have in your house.
Yes, work with everything. Ask your parents, obviously, or ask your parents to join you. And when you start looking around, you'll see that there's actually a lot of things that you can use. Ribbon, different kinds of tape, yarn, let's see. Wrapping paper is a great thing. I got an old gift bag and the handles from those. So there's so many possibilities. Beads are a great thing. I'm sure some of you have used macaroni. So anyway, let's get started. The first thing you want to do is decide what you're using. So Reeve is going to use cardboard.
It's my base.
And like I imagine many of you, we are getting a lot of boxes. We're ordering a lot of things and getting a lot of boxes. So I decided we're going to use a box. I'm going to use a box as well. Reeve is using cardboard that she's already cut for this, and I am going to take apart this box and cut it into smaller pieces and then start assembling. Reeve has a hot glue gun over here, and if you have a hot glue gun, you can use that. You can also use a glue stick. It kind of depends on how heavy duty your material is. I actually have opted to use tape, different kinds of tape. I've got some duct tape, I've got some masking tape, and I have these little cloth tapes, which are kind of cool colors. So we're gonna start. So while Reeve finishes up here, I'm going to start another piece. So I am starting with a box. I like to cut out shapes that are sort of a little bit irregular and kind of put them together to make interesting objects. This is a piece that I did a very long time ago, and this was a little study for a sculpture, a large sculpture that I was doing, and I liked it, so I kept it. This was also made out of some sort of box that I got from the store, cut into little pieces, glued together, and then painted. So I'm going to do a version of that right now. You know what, I'm not going to use a knife. Usually I use an X-Acto knife, but I'm not going to use an X-Acto knife today because not everybody has an X-Acto knife, and I don't want you guys to be using knives on your own. So I'm going to use a scissor. And I kind of think of a scissor just as much as a drawing tool as a pencil or a pen. And I don't know how many of you know the artist Henry Matisse, but later in his life, when he could no longer paint, he would sit in bed and cut out paper with a scissor. And he made some of the most beautiful work of his career during that time, and they were called cutouts. They were a kind of collage as well, though. Collage is a very sort of broad term that you can use to describe almost anything that you kind of put together from different elements. So anyway, here I have a piece of cardboard, and I'm just going to start taking my scissor and cutting it to get shapes. And you know, cutting cardboard is not the easiest thing, but it's not impossible either. You can also choose to rip it if you like, which is totally acceptable. And some cardboard has these seams that sort of make it a little bit easier to rip along the seams. So you can kind of cut it into smaller pieces by ripping it, and then cut sort of more exact lines. So you can kind of get these interesting shapes. And I'm going to do a bunch of those so that I have maybe about 10 or 12, roughly the same size. And then I'm going to start putting them together. Hey there, I've finished one. You can see it hanging over my shoulder. I've been really liking polka dots and stripes these days. I made the stripes out of the gift bag that I had. I didn't even realize it, but the inside of the gift bag was all pink, so that was kind of cool. And I used some yellow tape, and then I drew some polka dots, and they look pretty perfect circles, if I do say so myself. That's because I used a stencil that I made. That stencil, here, I'll show it to you. That stencil was pretty easy. I actually used a bottle top to create all of those circles, and I used a ruler to measure out the exact spacing because I wanted them to be even. And then I cut them out, and so you can kind of create your own little stencils like this, or you can just use things like bottle tops or round things, little tape, if you want to make different shapes, or you can just draw it freehand. So anyway, this is the first little guy that I made. Kind of looks like a little bug to me. I sort of like it, and I'm going to keep that up here for now. And now I'm working on my second one. So I glued a whole bunch of shapes together, and it kind of sort of looks a little bit like a totem sculpture to me. But when I put it this way, I don't know what it looks like. Maybe a bunch of ships or one big ship kind of in the night. And I think what I'm going to do is apply some paint. And I got a couple of colors down from my shelf. I've got some black and some blue and some red and some pink. And I'm just going to start putting on some paint. And I might use, like I said before, I kind of am into sort of stripes and polka dots these days. So I might create some lines, and for that I'm just going to take the straight edge of one of the boxes that I cut, and I'm just gonna draw some lines with a magic marker that I have, some stripes. I like diagonal stripes a lot too. But the beautiful thing about your work is that you can do anything you want. Sometimes having that option to do anything you want can be a little bit overwhelming, and very often as artists, we create these sort of rules for ourselves. It's kind of like the rules of a game that we have to adhere to. Or if we decide we have to break them. But sometimes it's good to start with a certain amount of, not rules, but parameters, big word. So in our final moments, I'll show you, I hung up all of our pieces together to kind of create a collage with collages. You can see Reeves with the beads and the string, and mine, pieces of cardboard painted, put together with glue and then painted, and then more collage on top of that. And just a really fun thing to do with all of the boxes that you have accumulating, or newspaper or magazines, or however you want to do it. So I hope you guys have a fun time gathering up materials that you might have in your house and sticking them together. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you for being part of our Art Break project. Please consider supporting Guildhall through subscribing to our YouTube page, following us on social media, or donating on our website. Your support would help us bring more creativity your way and ensure our success when we reopen our doors to you.